And welcome, folks, to the talk show, Let the Truth Be Told. I'm your host, Pastor David. And, folks, we got a great show today. We got another live show in the studio today. It's a Wednesday evening, and we got a lot to talk about. So if you ain't got nothing to do, call your friends and let them know. You're a listener to Let the Truth Be Told Radio. I'm your host, Pastor David. Y'all come on in. Thank you. And welcome to the talk show, Let the Truth Be Told. I'm your host, Pastor David. And folks, I got to label this show. This is a Wednesday, man, and we got a great conversation. First, let me give all praises to God and my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. That's Yahusha for the Hebrew brothers, and welcome. It never ceases to amaze me on what goes on here in Chicago. With a governor like J.B. Prickster and an idiot of a mayor like Brandon Johnson, he's playing to be an idiot. But I want to say to the American people and patriots across this country today, let us be aware of the game that's being played. Why is it that each one of these had a mission? Just like I said before, since Barack Obama instituted this New World Order thing, each one of his cronies have carried out a mission. Pritzker has always sat at the head of the table and directed the money from where it's to be taken. And yet behind the scenes, we have all sorts of other NGOs and organizations working against the Black community. So today we're going to discuss, coming up, the real on what happened. See, I'm a realist. And when I say things, I can back it up with receipts. So that's what I'm going to do today. I'm going to talk a little bit about the fraternities and sororities, the Divine Nine, these groups who were put together to be able to further the future of Black America. But Black America has been sold out by these organizations, the NGOs with the DEI and all the other programs that was used to advance themselves and their cause to create a new Black community. And in saying that, we're going to get to, first up, we're going to get to old J.B. Prickster. He clowned and we got backstage, Mr. Binky, check it out. Y'all come on in, let's get it in. Hey, everybody,
Hello.
How y'all doing?
Good.
Well, folks, you know, crime in Chicago is running rapid. And I have to say, I'm so glad that the National Guard is there. And they're cleaning cities out across the country, not only Chicago. But here in Chicago, they have really hit the mother load. I mean, it's over 4 tons. 4 tons. Wow. Of dope that's been on the streets here in Chicago. Now, Brandon Johnson is crying about how they don't need ICE here. But from what they've done and what they've gotten over the last couple of weeks and the amount of guns and drugs, as if it's going to be a war in the city of Chicago. And believe me, the summer's coming. It is going to be a war. The war against the Black community to take it over by the gang members who are Hispanic and Venezuelan who've come to this country illegally. Your thoughts, Doc?
Yeah, I mean, I've seen some videos and I don't see a lot of American flags flying at these peaceful protests in Chicago. I see a lot of Mexican flags, though. A lot of people jumping on cars and getting in the way of ICE doing their job. But, you know, they're going to be made an example of. I know they think they're getting away with a lot, but they are actually in violation of federal law, Title 18, Section 111. You cannot interfere with an agent or officer in the line of duty. So if they are doing their job and you are jumping on their cars and you are, putting yourself in the middle of the street like a barricade, you should be going to federal prison. What upsets me the most is I don't see more arrests. I mean,
Yes.
people should just literally be locked up by ICE. They don't have to be locked up by the police because it's a federal crime. It's not a state crime.
Yes. Mr. Binky, your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, the states gave up their rights for immigration long ago.
Mm-hmm.
Article 1, Section 8, Clause 4.
Right.
So, as Doc said, there's laws on the books about people aiding, abetting, interfering.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
These sanctuary cities, sanctuary states, they don't exist, but they're around because people let them.
Yes.
And that's what's got to change is you can't sit there and encourage people to block the duty of the federal government when they've got the authority to do it to begin with. So you're just as big of criminals to people out there interfering.
Yep.
Yeah.
Your thoughts, Chris?
Well, hey, what did Pam Bundy and them say in the last couple of days? Try it if you want to, Prickster. Try it if you want to, Newsom and Bass, Karen Bass, and the rest of these.
Right.
Everybody keeps, you are interfering with the federal government. But there are videos like Portland, Oregon, that ICE facility up there is cleaned up. I think it's cleaned up. They just dismantled all of that. When you get to the bottom of who's actually funding these organizations, you're going to have an issue. But think about, let's go ahead and add this, because there was a law that was sponsored yesterday in the Congress where these people can't have dual citizenship. Well, we know Soros is funding a lot of these organizations, and Prickster is funding a lot of these organizations under his NGOs. Maybe it's just all a plan, like they said, is to take that area, because they're the ones that are funding this. They are the ones that's defunding all of this. They're creating the chaos. They're telling them to go out there and attack ICE. They're telling them, and they're allowing them to have a whole city building to slang drugs out of, even if it was a slumlord. So it seemed like Brandon them and Prickster are in the bed together in Chicago is not going to get cleaned up until somebody actually with leadership come in.
Well, that's why I'm running for mayor of 2027 of Chicago. We've already started looking at this campaign and how we could do it. And to the people of Chicago, we're going to get back to the way it used to be. Some common sense legislation is going to be passed, and we're going to restore the city and create economic development, not just for the Black community itself. And that's going to be one of the focuses, the Black community, and bring it back to prominence, get back in our schools, the trades, get home economics, get some classes that mean something, that will teach our children things just like we learned when we was in public schools and we had academic bowls. I mean, we were taught to be smart. And that's what they quit teaching in the schools, especially in the Black community, is how our children can be intelligent. They don't have to, shake their butts and all that kind of stuff. You can compete in different things of knowledge. And that's what we got to get Chicago. But that's the direction I'm going back in once they get it all cleaned out and get all this corruption out. But
here's my question with Brandon Johnson being in Georgia, watching these news conferences. Where's the sergeant at arms? Where's the sheriff? Where's the men in black to snatch him off the microphone when you have to compare slavery and slaves of our ancestors and my grandparents to illegal aliens? What make you think you're going to fix your lips to compare anything like that? And that irks my nerves to hear Brandon Johnson speak on hate, speak on violence, instigate all this stuff, and no one is doing nothing about this.
The
Republican-
Democratic Party for the longest time have been trying to classify alien as hate speech, and they can't because in the Constitution, under the naturalization clause, no, I'm sorry, 1790, there was the act that was put in, the Naturalization Act, and they called people foreign to the soil aliens. That's what they are referred to. And then you have that whole 1798 Aliens Insurrection Act that Trump just put into place. But they're trying to make it hate speech so that they can get them, just like the LGBTQ movement, associated with the Black community to have a civil right. It sounds really crazy, but that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to do the wordplay and guilt people into feeling sorry for criminals. I call them criminals. I don't call them aliens. Okay, they broke the law. And so that's really what they're trying to do.
And you know, when I started my monologue, that's what I was saying, because what they have done is tried to normalize criminality.
Yes.
I mean, you know, look at how all of our cities with the Democratic mayors and governors, they have continued to open the doors to the cartels and anybody that can go to the highest bidder. And the citizens of Chicago and other cities have just been put on the back burner as if we don't exist. But the point that I'm making is this: each one of them had a role to play, and they're continuing to push what the agenda is. This whole agenda has been the New World Order. Like I said, Barack Obama started it. He pushed it so far when he created the law. Then you got J.B. Prickster in office. They have slowly turned Illinois into what L.A. looks like, a demonic state. That's what they've done. They pretty much come out and done it. But Brandon is sticking to the script. Even though we see all the bad things that he's doing, he's not caring about that. All he's doing is continuing to move along, try to force these people in. And on the back end, they just stealing money like crazy.
All right, Pastor, here come the heavy hitting topics, because you shouldn't have said his name. I'm comparing the NAACP and Barack Obama coming out here and preaching to the Black men about voting for a camel toe. And then all of a sudden you got a soldier and a Marine like Winston Sears, who is really going to make history as being elected as governor. And you take the NAACP and say, vote for Spanberger. What the heck is that?
Well, Barack Obama, and it only goes to show when we talk about this, and that's the problem that I'm having, and America needs to know that Barack Obama used a lot of NGOs during his time. He used most of all the colleges that he could who had that subset Serbian attitude to be able to push his agenda. And one of those organizations was the Divine Nine. It's just ironic that you would say that, Lucretia, because we're going to discuss that later on in the show. But he did that because they wanted a new Black community. That was their mission. Their mission was to get into legislation, get into all the jobs that we could get into elected positions. And then that's what happened in Illinois, because if I pull the roll call, every senator, almost every representative, mayors, aldermen, they all belong to the fraternities and sororities. And so they basically have put themselves in a position to control what happens that's coming into the Black community. And that's where a lot of our money is being taken, and it's not being addressed. But we're going to talk about that. First, let me play this clip of what's going on in Chicago, and we're going to talk about that. But we'll get on back to Barack Obama in just a second.
Federal agents went into homes in the South Shore area last night carrying out immigration enforcement. Border Patrol officials confirming they were looking for Venezuelan gang members.
They said that they arrested more than a dozen people. Fox 32's Joni Lum has more. Dozens of federal agents surrounded an apartment building in Chicago's South Shore neighborhood this morning. The area is bracing for a potential military deployment as immigration officials conduct raids. Federal agents at the apartment building were seen wearing military gear. A neighbor said people were screaming, there were loud bangs and pops, and he saw 2 people detained. Dozens of armed federal agents have been seen patrolling streets in downtown Chicago in recent days. In a news conference Monday, Governor J.B. Pritzker denounced the intensified federal presence. He says the Homeland Security Department wants to deploy 100 military service members to Illinois.
Before sunrise, Chicago slept under a cold fog, unaware that an invisible war was about to break through its streets.
5:30 a.m.
Now, guys, I got a question. Okay. Now, think about this. This happening in Chicago right now. This is not the other building that they got about a month ago.
This is a whole nother block.
Yeah.
This is a whole nother.
Something else.
This is the listen. They went statewide. This was the beginning of the statewide Midway Blitz. So not only did they get Chicago in this one location, but they got them in other locations as well. And this is the point that I'm making, guys. How is it that you're the governor and the mayor of Chicago and you don't know about this stuff?
They know.
I don't know.
They know. They claim plausible deniability because they're not directly involved, but they know, right? They know the upper people that have told them, don't you say anything about this or we will come for you. Okay, that's how crime works. Sorry.
Now, Governor Pritzker and Brandon Johnson have continued, and Lucretia, you said something. I get pissed off too when I see the idiocy of Brandon Johnson trying to talk about illegal aliens. That's what the Constitution said that they were. And now you want to make it a bad word and you want to compare it to slavery? Negro, please. That ain't the real N word I wanted to say. but the thing of it is he's doing his part. He don't care. At the end of the day, when he's out of office, he would have accomplished his mission if we don't stop it. What he's trying to do, and their mission is to create this whole new world order, to bring in homosexuality, to control the American people with our food. I mean, our money. This is a total scheme against the American people to take over us and create the diversion by what they're doing now. Mr. Binky, now aiding and abetting, the law that you know of. Let's talk about that because J.B. Pritzker himself has broken these laws. And we want the American people and patriots across this country, those who don't know, can you give us an idea of some of the stuff that can happen with this law? You can read it and then tell us what can happen on the onset if you get caught up for it.
Well, they can be fined, they can be imprisoned, and in some cases they can be imprisoned up to life. You know, I mean, there's penalties for this. And
now, which one is that? Is that the aiding and abetting one? Because, you know, J.B. Pritzker has already, folks, the reason I'm doing this is because J.B. Pritzker has already been sent the warning from Pam Bondi now.
Yeah, the fines are both federal, up to $5,000, $100,000, imprisonment up to 10 years or even life. And it depends on if bodily injury or death has occurred because of this. So, I mean, the whole thing of it is you got to start holding people accountable for it. And if Bondi and all them wanted to say on TV, Prickster and Johnson, you better watch out. Let's quit the talking and start doing something about this, because you can sit there and talk out of both sides of your mouth at the same time, and nothing's going to get done. So you either are or you're not. Let's poop and get off the pot.
Your thoughts, Doc?
Okay. So here's the thing. They're going to get caught. They've already been caught. Mm-hmm. But long term, you know, this is the City of New America's plan, which also falls under the New World Order, which also falls under replacement migration. So these people have already been given the pathway to be citizens in our country, which is why they keep redefining them. right?
Mhm.
First they were called undocumented, then they
Yes.
want to get away from alien. Like I said, even though that's in the Constitution, illegal alien isn't, but alien is. We refer to them as illegal aliens because they've broken the
Broke the
law.
law. Yes.
They don't want that term to stain them, but they want to bring in these people as new citizens so they have the voting block, right? So they have a new class of citizens that they think are going to be subservient to them because they're going to be low IQ voters, because they're like, we're going to tell you what the Constitution says, and we're going to tell
Mhm.
you how to carry the Constitution out. I don't know if anybody's been seeing that, but I see that.
Mhm.
So JB Pritzker and Mr. Johnson, they are laying the groundwork
Yes, that's what I
for
mean.
what's next.
Yes, yes. Lucretia, your thoughts?
The groundwork for what's next when it comes to those two is a terrifying blonde chick. I'm telling you now, they are when y'all was talking about that, especially you, doctor, all I saw was World Economic Forum.
Yeah.
All I saw was digital currency. All I saw was what the UK is doing right now and how they're being taken over. I saw Bill Gates. No, not Bill Gates. It's Tony Blair and Stammer when it says you are not going to be able to come into the UK unless you have a digital ID.
Yes.
I saw open border for United States where we blurred the line so much. It is at, that's why so many people are on welfare right now. They are willing to shut us down for these people. You know, it hit me this morning when I realized they want to put a face on, food stamps on Black people, poor Black people. That's all I've been seeing. But there's more illegal aliens on welfare and SNAP than it is poor Black people, poor white people, poor people in the Appalachians. It's more illegal aliens on food stamps than they are damn American citizens, and it making it seem like the suffering, this shutdown is not for America. It is for the illegal and the new world order.
It is because it's this simple. You know, just as we spoke yesterday, we was talking about how I saw a state person said that, you know, the state has the money. They have the money from income tax. To the American people of patriots across this country, the individual states have money to put into SNAP so that there will not be an interruption in the services. But they're withholding the money because that's what the Democrats wants them to do, withhold the money and force the Republicans at the expense of the American people to allow the illegals to receive Medicaid and Medicare and all the other services they've been getting after they got cut off from the big, beautiful bill.
Hey, Dave, can I give you some numbers here?
Go ahead, sir.
All right. Lucretia was just talking about the food stamps, right?
45.6%
of food stamps, households receiving food stamps is Afghan. 42.4% is Somali. 34.8 is Iraqi. 34.4 is Dominican. 27% is Native American, and the Black community comes in at 24.9%. So Afghan, Somali, Iraqi are getting more food stamps than Americans. I mean,
even though there might be fewer of them, they're at a higher rate.
They're at a higher pay rate. And I think that's a shame because what they did with the illegals when they came over here, they was giving them at least $10,000 a month here in Chicago.
Do you know how much you have to argue online with people say they don't get welfare, they don't get no assistance? I have heard that mantra from so many people that is so I don't know what to do with it anymore, Pastor. Because how you talk to these type of people?
Because they've been given a status. You got to remember TPS. That's a status. Paroled in the United States. That's a status. It doesn't say undocumented. Right. So when they are saying that undocumented people aren't getting food stamps, they're being partially truthful because you're not talking the people that you've given status to and have been allowed to get it. Right. But that's the trick. That's the trick.
Prickster and Johnson are up there saying we don't have illegals. What they're going on is They have people there seeking asylum.
And they call them residents.
Yes. And over 95% of the people that apply for asylum are denied.
So
they're here illegally.
So that's what I'm talking about, because the simple reason is this. We already know, and the American people in the patriots across this country should know now, that it's the Democrats who keep this going for the sake of a voting bloc, and that trillions of dollars are being diverted back to the party itself to try to trick and deceive the American people. But I'm going to play this clip, and then I'm going to show you what they gathered out of Chicago a couple of days ago or a day ago.
5:30 a.m. The city was still asleep when flashing blue and red lights cut through the darkness. Federal agents moved in with precision. ICE tactical teams, backed by Chicago Police and Homeland Security, surrounded blocks of aging houses in Little Village, Cicero, and Joliet. Doors splintered open, shouts echoed through narrow streets. "Federal warrant! Hands up!" Families froze in confusion, realizing this wasn't just another patrol. It was the start of Operation Midway Blitz, a massive federal crackdown launched by the Department of Homeland Security after weeks of violent crimes tied to illegal migration across the Midwest. "We're cleaning every city," one official said. In just 2 weeks, more than 550 suspects were taken into custody, men and women from Mexico, Guatemala, Honduras, and El Salvador. Some had long criminal histories. Others had only just crossed the border. As dawn broke over Chicago, it was clear this was no ordinary immigration sweep. This was the opening move in what agents quietly called a war to reclaim the streets. When the raids ended, federal teams thought their mission was complete. But by noon, evidence told a different story. Inside dozens of homes across Chicago's South Side, agents uncovered a hidden arsenal: 180 pounds of methamphetamine, 62 kilos of cocaine, and boxes of handguns, shotguns, and AR-15s, each wrapped in plastic and tagged with Mexican shipping codes. What began as an immigration raid had just turned into a battlefield discovery. At the ICE command post near Midway Airport, evidence piled up. Laptop.
Hey, let that keep running. Wow. They ain't that. Wow. All of that in a square block. All of that.
Phones still vibrating with unread messages and thick envelopes packed with cash. In one house, a wall built 2 feet thicker than normal concealed money counters, fake passports, and a tablet streaming encrypted chats in Spanish. The messages were chillingly brief. Shipment confirmed, payment cleared. Analysts traced the trail from Jalisco, Mexico, through Texas and Missouri, ending at warehouses on Chicago's South Side. By evening, one truth was undeniable. The Jalisco New Generation Cartel, or CJNG, had infiltrated the Midwest. Illegal migration wasn't just a movement of people, it was a disguise. Their orders were simple: move money, move drugs, stay invisible. Within the hour, DHS raised the threat level to Code Amber. Tactical teams were put on 24-hour standby. FBI cyber units began tracking burner phones, while Border Patrol intelligence linked suspects to safe houses in Laredo and Monterey. By dawn, 5 coordinates.
That resistance came hard at Brighton Park. CJNG and forces held a fortified chamber of steel and concrete, fighting back with chilling coordination.
What you say, Lucretia?
That look like Guadalupe town, honey. You sure you want to be the mayor? Is there any black people up in there? I thought
Listen,
a whole nother level.
When I take over, it's going to be totally different than that, because they're cleaning the city up, guys.
Yeah.
Basically, that's what they're doing now. They're cleaning the city up. They're getting rid of all the major problems and all the drug problems. Chicago will be cleaned after that. But the whole fact of it is we'll be able to regroup once we start creating an economic atmosphere. when people are not afraid to come back to the city, to shop, to bring their children, to sightsee, all of those things will change under my leadership. But I just wanted to put that out there. See all the drugs and stuff, all the money. So they've been set up there for a minute.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And to the American people and patriots across this country, I wanted them to see exactly why Brandon Johnson and J.B. Prickster should be put in prison and arrested, because they know about these houses. You see all that technology that they had?
Yeah.
The city got the same stuff.
So they know somebody high up knows. Somebody higher up knows what's going on.
So Bink, if so, say for instance, because this is what Cash Patel said about arresting J.B. Prickster. First, let me put Trump in there, because I know Trump. President Trump requested that they be arrested.
Tensions erupt in Chicago as U.S. President Donald Trump escalates his immigration crackdown. President Trump has now called for the arrests of Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson and Illinois Governor J.B. Prickster. Trump accused the two Democratic leaders of failing to protect federal immigration officers in the city. His comments came as 200 Texas National Guard troops arrived in Chicago amid the ongoing immigration operation. The White House said that the move is part of Operation Midway Blitz, aimed at cracking down on illegal immigration. Governor Pritzker fired back on social media, calling Trump's demand a path to full-blown authoritarianism. Mayor Johnson accused Trump of trying to have a black man unjustly arrested. Notably, neither official faces any criminal.
Okay, that's the
what? Huh?
How do you call authoritarianism when the federal government has the authority? It says it right there. They've got authority to go in and enforce laws of immigration. That's not authoritarian.
But authoritarianism, truthfully, is when people are oppressed. So we can use the COVID pandemic as an example. They made mandates on people. They forced them. If they didn't want to do something, they were out of a job. That's authoritarianism. That's what happened. This is not. This is the opposite. This is, okay, you don't belong here. You need to go home. Obviously, we need more force to remove you because the state governor and mayor aren't going to work with us.
Don't forget, too, during COVID, they divided people.
Yes, they did.
You had essential people and you had non-essential people.
Yes.
Yep. That was the whole mission of the plan. Now, Lucretia,
absolutely.
What does this is what blows my mind away is Brandon Johnson came way out in left field and said he wanted to arrest a black man because of what? What that got to do with?
That's how they have. I don't know why they want to live in glory days. It's like, come on. Like I said 10 years ago, you're going to keep calling people racist until it don't have that Emmett Till sting anymore.
Yes.
You're going to dilute that word so much to where it ain't going to mean nothing when it's smacking you right there in your face because the boy cried wolf. And that guy is more racist because he always, if you're looking at some of the policies he set forth in Chicago, he think the black people are more superior than a Hispanic or a white person having a business license. So, sir, you are the same damn thing. But it, like my mom says, it take one to know one. And it seemed like the Democrat Party and black people always fall back on the skin.
Yes.
And that's the skin. So I wish that would stop.
But the funny part about that whole thing is, even though he's trying to prop black people up, he says it, black people aren't in ownership in Chicago.
Well, exactly.
He's using black people as a mule. I keep telling you, just me.
Yes, that's all it is. And see, that's what I hate about those type of identity politics, is because now that he's in trouble and he knows it, he's not at no time has any of these public officials said how they are going to fix the problem in their respective cities and states? Not one person came and said, well, we're going
to close down the schools, in the hoods on the south side, keep those schools shut down, close down the parks, close down the basketball, and then only open them for illegals to be able to migrate there. So if you're looking at all these city hall commissioners meeting, mayoral meetings, these black people done had it. And they're coming out with Trump gear on. They're coming out with just an American flag, and they saying, "You got to go, dude. You're going to be another Lori Lightfoot. You have to go."
Well, that's why I said each one had a role to play. Lori Lightfoot played her role when she instituted into the schools and forced it way in and forced that lifestyle on everybody to disrespect our city, the way she did. I mean, that was the normalization part. That was her mission was just to blast us with it and normalize it like, I'm a woman and I got a man for a wife. I mean, the straight foolishness.
All I see is Beetlejuice. I don't care what nobody say. When I see Lori Lightfoot, I'm looking at Beetlejuice with a short haircut. This woman looks so decrepit. I thought, ma'am, are you happy? Because it don't look like you're happy. And now she done came out here and started fixing her lips again to speak on the black people behalf. I'm sitting here like,
she's not. You know what?
Really turns a person ugly.
Well, that's the same thing Barack Obama was doing. The same Barack Obama who jumped up and hollered, every young black male should have a gay counterpart in his life.
He said that.
Yes, he did.
And then the sad thing of it was he had enough nerve to come out here with talking about when Kamala was in telling us, y'all black boys better get up and go vote for Kamala. She's just like one of us. Negro, you ain't one of us.
So I had a question for Mr. Binky. Mr. Binky, okay. So I've been watching TV and I've seen Zohran Mamdani, and then there's the other Omar person in Minnesota. They are proclaimed Democratic Socialists. Do you think Brandon Johnson is trying to position himself to run, if he does run again as mayor, run as a socialist, being that this is the progressive theme in the Democratic Party?
Yeah, the Democrats, and Dave knows this, Democrats have been anti-American from day one.
Yes.
And they've just evolved. I mean, Bernie Sanders was actually the first one to be considered a Democratic socialist.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I think they're gone. Socialism and communism is just the same thing spelt different.
Right.
Yeah.
And the Democratic Party and Madami, or Dumb Mammy is what I call them. We've mixed cultures in this country so bad. We're divided in so many different ways, cultures, prejudice, colors. I mean, we've just, over the last few decades, we have just been divided.
Mm-hmm.
And now the Democratic Party, being a Democrat, is delusional today. But being a Democratic Socialist, because the Democratic Party has always wanted to be the party where government provides the people for what they need.
Right.
Exactly. And that's what communism and socialism is all about. The Democratic Party believes that we're a democracy, which is what a socialist or communist society believes in. You've got to have somebody controlling everybody else in that type of situation. Under a republic, you and I make our own decisions. And
so a communist and a socialist sort of kind of be the same thing, because there's still a law on the books. It says the Communist Control Act of 1954. It says a long title, an act to outlaw the Communist Party to prohibit members of the communist organization from serving in certain representative capacities for other purposes. Can we go ahead and put that against Mamdani?
I think what happened there is the Birch Society back in the 50s was really big. McCarthy was really big. about exposing communism and socialism. In 1939, they had a committee called the Un-American Activities Committee. And I believe it was 1974, 75, they abolished that committee, citing McCarthyism. So what they did is they condoned socialism and communism. And that's what we have seen through the decades. Socialists and communists have came out, and now they're in the political parties.
So, you know, and I'm glad you explained that, Mr. Binky. That's why we got you here. You're the historian guy.
But I'm not a historian. I'm just mad.
I know.
Gotta get angry.
But this is what Cash Patel had to say about JB and people. JB and Brandon has already destroyed the trust of the people of the state and of the city of Chicago. They are no more than common criminals who wear suits, who are calling themselves and have a title like the mayor and the governor. But it's going to be up to us when the election time comes to make the change and get these crooks out of Chicago and replace them with God-fearing people who are going to respect not only but the communities and the people in the communities, but put God first. That's what we got to get back to. That's what I'm going to bring to the city of Chicago and across this country. It's God first. But here goes. This is what Cash Patel said about J.B. Prickster.
And his own 2028 ambitions than the deaths and shootings that occur on his streets every single week. There are entire websites devoted to tracking Chicago homicide victims. Does Pritzker even know any of their names? Going forward, in every state across America, in the Virginia and the New Jersey gubernatorial races in November, and in the midterms next year, voters have to ask themselves, which party is fighting for my family and which party is fighting for the criminals? Tonight, the answer is clear, and that's the angle. Here with me exclusively is FBI Director Cash Patel. He was also at that roundtable the president held this afternoon, which I couldn't stop watching. Director Patel, thank you very much for joining us tonight. We're going to get to this bust of this gambling ring in a moment, but Governor Pritzker and others are creating these apps and databases to track ICE agents. Is there any movement in the administration to pursue, prosecution or charges against individuals who are impeding law enforcement to that capacity?
Hey, Laura, it's great to be with you. And absolutely. And because of the power of President Trump and the team that he has built, not just in the public sector and the government sector, but the private sector, he and our attorney general have been able to go to these application companies and have these apps actually deleted and permanently removed. That's the immediate solution. But if these people continue to endanger the lives of law enforcement, you bet this FBI is going to chase every single one of them down. No one is allowed to touch a cop on my watch, and no one's going to touch a cop on our watch. And on the off chance that they do or participate in a scheme via an app or otherwise that does so, they will find themselves in handcuffs, just like so many of those that have tried to hurt law enforcement in the past. But now law enforcement is so well respected thanks to President Trump's leadership and the establishment of this Homeland Security Task Force. The American people are seeing what cops can do when you let them be cops.
What do you think?
Now, guys, I want y'all thoughts on that, because he's basically saying that he can get them now. What's your thoughts, Lucretia?
I say, woohoo, I'm waiting for some more indictments. I'm seeing more indictments at the federal level. I'm seeing by next year or probably the end of this one, because they've been dropping Obama's name a little bit too much. A lot of this stuff has been coming out very rapidly lately. And there's going to be Democrat Party is going to be exposed. That's all I'm saying. And it's going all the way up to Obama.
Your thoughts, Bink?
Action. I want to see action done. There's a lot of good talking going on, but you know what they say about talk. You know, I want to see action.
You got to look at J.D. Prickster and Newsom Gruesome plus Lori Lightfoot done kind of cut it off and said, well, technically that is not what we meant, that we was going to, really dox the ICE people. This is after Pam Bundy came out, 2 days ago and really dropped that hammer. They done kind of lessen their tone. So they're running scared right now when they know they will come and lock you up.
Oh, I want to see it done.
Doc?
I'm definitely with Mr. Binky. Look, I want to see some people dog walked. I really do, because it's time. It's time. Administratively, you've got them.
Yes,
they have done everything. That the paper trail is there.
Thank you for going there. That's why I wanted to go. Yeah, because that's what we see now. There's no unequivocally. They can be arrested and the case can be proved just by them opening up the websites. Mm-hmm. They're coming out publicly speaking about how they wanted to deter ICE and how they fought, and they sent information to the courts trying to stop all of this. See, they have put their foot and put their own neck in a noose because they've already committed the crimes and owned up to it. So the evidence is overwhelming that they can be arrested, they can seize their assets. What else can they receive? What else can they get from them, Bink? You said they can get their assets?
Yeah, you can go after it. I mean, that's a possibility, but I mean, as far as I'm concerned, put them in jail. I don't care what they got. If they're in jail, they can't use it.
Yeah, but the stuff that they got. Because, see, if they arrest Pritzker's probably got caches of cash everywhere.
Of course, he's a billionaire.
And so he probably got so much money he done stole as governor from being the governor for the last couple of terms, man. It's unrealistic. And that's what the big problem is. They're trying to figure out ways to get this money out here. And that's why here in the state of Illinois, they was giving the NGOs a lot of money. Yeah. A lot of money was given to those organizations, the Urban League, the NAACP, all of those organizations were given a lot of cash. The Divine Nine, the fraternities, the sororities. Like I said earlier in the show, I've discussed this before, and I've said it before about this letter that we received, and we're going to discuss this.
Hey, Dave, look, real quick. I apologize for.
Go ahead.
I want to explain why I want to see the government people being arrested is because they come at 2:00 in the morning to arrest people from their houses over back child support, over parking tickets, over stuff like this. But yet our government officials are doing what they're doing. And like Dr. Nichols says, it's all on tape. It's all on videos. It's all documented. And nothing happens to these people, whether it's Hunter Biden, Joe Biden, Hillary Clinton. All these people are getting free passes, but people like you and I will get our door kicked in over a phone call from a neighbor, over past child support. We're going to jail for non-victim crimes, and they're skating free. I apologize.
Oh no, that's
apologies. There's no apologies on that one. It's like, what the hell?
It's true. It's true.
Like, what the hell?
And that's the whole thing of it is this let me say this like this: the Black community is in shambles. Mm-hmm. And it was meant to be that way. See, like I said before, when Barack Obama was the savior for Black people, when Black people found out what he was doing by trying to normalize the homosexuality, and his main mission was to destroy the Black family structure. That was his mission, and normalize homosexuality. But in the interim, when he made his move with our educated people.
No, he did that with Oprah.
Well, however he did it, our fraternities, the people that we sent to school, that my parents marched with the dogs and the fight. See, they don't want you to remember that type of history. The dogs, the picking, the chopping cotton, and all of that. My parents fought like hell for us so that we could get an education to be a black nation ourselves, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then after that came the generation of children who were able to go to the white colleges and get the degrees. They created the HBCUs and they started getting in degrees and they started getting educated. But they broke away from the real black community. And they called themselves Greeks. They said, oh, you know what? I'm not going back to the black community. I'm not doing that no more. They don't like me because I got a college education. That's the most asinine statement that you can make. You didn't want to come back to the black community because you felt that you were much better than the black community anymore. And part of that problem led to, it was parents who was living in the ghetto, who fought, who worked 3 jobs to send their kids to school. And once they got to college, they told them, don't ever come back home no more. That was the ideology that they wanted us to follow. Mm-hmm. This was all done by key separation, to separate our educated people from those who were everyday people, who was at the corner store, who worked a manufacturing job, who washed cars, who provided service, all the things that those people did. Our educated ones came back and hated them. Because in their mind, they thought, well, we're elite now. We're much better than them. We're going to get the jobs because we got the degrees. We got this. We got all the things that they provided for us to get, and yet we're going to turn on them, and we're going to go with the establishment because the establishment told us that we don't have to associate with the downtrodden, that old country, from the country Negro black. And thus, that's what happened to us.
You ain't lying.
And so now with this whole separation, when you separate yourself from the tree, let me ask you this question.
Was we ever together?
We were.
I'm talking about with the sororities and the fraternities. No, the hell we wasn't.
No. What happened was we produced them because we fought for them to get.
I've never seen any of them in the hood. I'm sorry. I ain't never seen them in the hood.
They're only there for ceremonial purposes.
That's
like
it.
in Los Angeles, they'll show up for the Martin Luther King parade and they'll have their tents out. And it's very ceremonial whenever they're in the black community, but they're not there to actually help and support the black community. Because you never hear about how many businesses that any of these Greeks have helped start in the black community. If there is, let me know. I haven't heard about it yet.
Well, the thing of it is, that's why they moved to get into legislation. Mm-hmm. Because once they got into legislation, just like the city of Chicago, most of them are in office now. And what they're doing, they're buying up different areas of the city and they're putting up new stores. What they're doing is preparing for the new black community while they continue to squeeze the money out of the old black community that they should be rebuilding. They're trying to create their own thing right now as all educated and nobody's here. It's going to be downtrodden. There will be no more black ghettos. That's the mindset that they have now. And that's why they position
not y'all. I'm sorry.
Where
the hell they going to push these black people at? I mean, let's be real, because we see it. Where they gonna go? What literally? Where are they gonna go?
Well, listen to this. Where they gonna go is that's why the scheme to open the borders and eliminate the black community by accepting other races in our community.
But still, where they gonna go?
They don't matter where they go. All they're doing is diluting the black community. That's why they open the borders. But I'm saying it to say this, and I think it's an opportune time for the black community to rise up and be strong and be something in this day and time under President Trump, because he wants us to have our own. But the organizations like the NAACP, the Divine Nine, and all of them who got in bed with the LGBTQ and all of them came against the black community and helped steal the election in 2020.
If the black community is going to rise up again, is it going to be the black community doing this or government doing it for them?
Woo! Great question.
That is a question.
And I can answer that for you. It should be the black community, because the black community spends more money than everybody else. We spend money on foolishness and don't own nothing. And see, That's what the big problem was with our community, is that we let them give us welfare and all those other bullshit stuff that only kept us at a certain rate in our life. You can't never get rich working for somebody else or on somebody's program.
Well, that's what I'm asking. That's why I'm asking that. Is this going to be the black community prior to 1965, or is this going to be the Obama black community where government's going to come in there and give everything out to people? But which black community is going to get built up here? Because if government comes in, that's a false prophet right there. If you ask me.
It's going to be the one of 1965, the one that I saw.
Okay.
When real black men and women who stood up for the black community, and we didn't take handouts. Everybody, when I grew up, had jobs. They had positions.
Right.
They taught us that we needed to be independent. That's the black community that I'm looking at. That you can go to high school and graduate out of high school with a trade that can make you $60,000 and $70,000 a year with just a high school diploma. That's the black community that I'm talking about. I ain't talking about the ones after Obama and everybody else, that what we see now. I'm talking about a black working class people who took pride in who they were and in their last name, and who taught intelligence, not begging. We had everything our own, the Black Wall Street. But when I grew up, that's how I was. Because see, I preferably didn't see a lot of white folks. I mostly on TV, because in my community, it was black. The black man on the store down the street, the gas station, the hardware stores. So that's what I'm looking for, a black community that will be self-sufficient, that we don't have to take handouts. We can use our own money, but the mindset is what's the sad thing. And I'm saying it to say this. In 2020, the Divine Nine, in conjunction with the NAACP, the LGBT, they all got together and said, you know what? We're going to support the Democratic Party. And this is why I say these organizations who got political, who got the 501c3s, where you're not supposed to be taking any side, but you got to remain in the middle and be impartial to each side. They got together and they put this whole thing in motion against this country.
Yep.
And to me, that's treason. But more importantly, what you did was you tried to destroy the tree, and that's the black community. And if you just a branch on the tree, if you fall off from the tree, guess what? You die. And that's what's happening right now. The branches is falling off the trees. And I talked about this letter that a person sent to me anonymously. And I'm going to show it. The fact of the matter is that the Divine Nine, they helped stole the election. And here's a letter that proves it.
Wow.
Let me get this up so you guys can see it.
Is that from Ruby Friedman?
No. This letter on October 6th. Can you see it?
I can see it squinting.
Okay. October 6th, 2020. That was a letter from the Divine Nine fraternities and sororities sent to the Vice President Joe Biden and the Democratic nominee. It says Senator Kamala Harris, Democratic Vice President.
So they hadn't been elected yet. Just know that.
Yep. and the Divine Nine collaborated. This was the mission, to reskill and accelerate Black America for new Black wealth and today's future. And this letter went on to talk about how that they, the Divine Nine, the National Panhandle Council, on behalf of the National Panhandle Council, we are like to offer a strategy to address the racial wealth gap in the country during this unprecedented time. As our nation continues to struggle through its overdue race reckoning, it is important to also realize how the global pandemic is impacting jobs and businesses, particularly and historically in modern day society, disadvantaged community like Black America. So this is the never-ending use of the Black community for people to get money on our behalf, and none of the money ever gets back to it. It says, according to McKinsey, 39% of Black Americans are unemployed due to COVID-19, and 41% of Black businesses have closed their doors. many are in denial of the reality that the majority of these jobs and businesses will never return. Prior to COVID becoming a reality, McKinsey predicted that 4.5 million jobs occupied by Black Americans will be disrupted by automation this decade. The timeline is now accelerated. Now, that's true. That's true.
Happening now.
It's happening now. It said that in almost an alarming 60% of today's net new jobs are created by technology startups and higher growth companies, representing 15% of all companies, yet they leverage automation powered by artificial intelligence, machining, learning, and quantum computing, blah, 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 $131 billion. So what they're saying is they gave a complete analysis of what the new Black America could look like. And if they could get and make a deal with Joe Biden them, that they would go head on and be able to see here where it's talked about the HBCUs, or they're gonna put money and let the money be funneled through the HBCUs. It was approximately $10 billion. Can you see that? So the fraternities and sororities sold the Black community out for $10 billion, the opportunity to open up new businesses under their own name and to receive the money through the HBCUs. This is the proof of the letter right here. And it also goes to talk about, too, how when Joe Biden was, they put this letter to Will and they followed it to the T, because they was even able to say that we're going to make sure that Joe Biden go on the D.L. Hewley comedy entrepreneur philanthropist. He went on D.L.
They came out here and pushed that clock shot so damn hard in the Black community.
Yes,
no wonder that Warlock Baptist Church, which is one of the historical Black Baptist churches in Georgia, was the first ones to shut down, but the first one to open up to get the clock shot. Oh my God.
So look at this.
Yep. They were all in bed in it.
Even down to the point where it says he was on Charlemagne God, the guy they call Charlemagne the God. Here it is right here in there where Joe says, well, yeah, I'm on his show, and if you ain't Black, you don't vote for Joe.
Yeah. No, if you don't vote Democrat, you're not Black.
Yeah. Which is crazy.
The point that I'm making is, here it is, a letter that was dated in 2020 proposing to, they wasn't even in office then.
No.
And this was the same time the Hunter Biden laptop was being uncovered over there on Lude and Parler, and then all of a sudden we couldn't talk about it.
So you see what I mean? See what I mean by what I'm saying is that it's a shame that our children sold this country out for $10 billion. And a lot of people that belong to these fraternities and sororities, they're not up on, they don't understand all of this, because they're paying their dues and they're living the life that they're supposed to be living under the leadership that they have. This is the leadership who went out and in 2020 made a deal with the Democrats, the homosexuals, and all of them to be able to get $10 billion to recreate the Black community. Your thoughts on that?
Switch what a woman and a man is. So this fundamentally changed America. Just sitting here, hindsight 2020, we can pinpoint each and every time. And now just hearing this stuff, it just turns my stomach. It just really irks my nerves that no one stopped them.
No, because now this is how it's done, right? Okay, so now they helped Joe get in by stealing. They got their money, right? And then when they got their money, and then when Trump got in, Trump thinking, okay, well, I'm gonna go ahead on and get them some money so they ain't got to be begging no more, blah blah blah. Right. Now, then they sort of forced Trump into giving them the money, because what they do now is say, well, we got our money from Joe. We don't leave him alone. But Trump, we're going to call him a racist and say he don't do nothing for the Black schools. And so we're going to force him to give us some money too.
Yeah.
So whatever else money that they got from Joe, they got that money, and they got this new money coming in for Trump. And we should never hear no more from the black colleges begging for money no more, but you will. And that's why I'm saying it was our own children who signed the deal with the devil, who helped promote homosexuality, who helped Barack Obama get into office. It was them who manned the polls, who wore their colors on poll sites. I saw that with my own eyes.
I saw it down here in Georgia.
Yep. That helped them get into office to create this whole mess. And now that $10 billion to turn
wait, woo. God just said, Fring, there's a woman named Shay and her daughter down here. The ones that was at the Fulton Arena that were pulling the briefcases. Yeah. Okay, then. She was given immunity, right? She with the auto pen. Well, didn't Comey come out yesterday and said, hey, we are recommending that anything that was signed with the auto pen is null and void. She could still get in trouble, right?
Yes.
Yeah, it's gone. It's gone. There's no more commutation because a lot of those sentences were either commuted or pardoned, one of the two. A lot of them were commuted. So yeah, she's done.
So that's why I wanted to put, I've always talked about it because somebody anonymously sent me this letter when I was talking about the separation in the black community. So your thoughts, Doc, on this letter? When you look at that, what do you think about?
Well, where's the money? Where's the investment?
Boom.
I'm sorry. I was in Niagara Falls and they do have a black community there and most of the town was boarded up. Yes. So where's the money? Because I don't see it. Now, I do see sometimes extravagant people, and a lot of times they are in these fraternities and sororities, right? Mm-hmm. But that money isn't going into the black community where it's needed. It's just staying at the top. And they're just investing and they're waiting, to transition away from America to the new America that's going to be coming in. You know what I mean?
Yesterday, doctor, that if they only got to do 20% of the work or something like that, and they keep the other percent of the profit.
They keep the other 80%. Yeah, that's what they've been doing. That is exactly what they've been doing. Yeah. So I'm sure they pretty much kept the 80% of the 10 billion because you don't see it.
No, you don't see it.
I see when money works. You know what I'm saying? I see when things work in my own community. And I'm like, if you've been given $5 billion and I can't see even $500,000 worth of work, I'm like, yeah, you took the money.
Well, you know what? Not only that, too, because in 2020, that's when most of them ran for office and they got in these positions. Like Warnock got in his position as a state senator. They put all themselves here in Illinois. And like I said, most of them are state reps. They're becoming mayors of the city, all the Divine Nine. That was their mission. So once that they got into these positions, they've been able to receive the money through their cities and wash it through and put it in their pockets. They can take money and go invest into another community and create a whole new community because the money that they got was supposed to be for the black community who they said they wanted to help. And none of that money got to the black community in Chicago.
Ain't that called slush funds?
Yeah.
So they're
using the charitable organizations as slush funds.
Yes.
Clinton Foundation.
All of it. Yeah. The Barack Obama Foundation.
Yeah.
So it has been these young people who have, and I'm not saying all, but these young people have put themselves in a position to make money off the black community, but use it and say we're going to help black people, but never have a black people at all. Your thoughts on that letter?
Down here in Georgia, I don't know why Stacey Abrams popped in my head. She had some organization that was a part of like the Green Movement and the election.
The $2 billion. You're talking about the $2 billion grant, the EPA grant. Yeah.
Yep.
Where that money go?
They got stopped.
It got stopped.
It got stopped. That got clawed back.
Yep.
See, that's how they was using it.
It was the arrangement that she had made with the Democratic Party.
Yep.
She did what she was supposed to do, and they kindly gave her that grant. And when it was not approved prior to Biden losing and Trump winning, they shut all that down.
That got shut down.
And look who's complaining about all that when you said got called out by the Musk and all them about that money that's going in there.
Yeah.
You said, and then now this budget, they're trying to pass a clean bill. The Democrats don't.
No, they want to give a $490 million back to PBS.
Yes.
Why is that in there? What are we doing?
They got to wash the money through. Things have failed. When Trump got in, he cut all the money off, but they had already stole that money, and they was expecting the federal money to come in to bail them out, and then that way they wouldn't have had to pass it on to the consumers or to the taxpayers. But they were so greedy, they were going to take the money that the feds came and pass it on to the taxpayers. It becomes, how much money can you have? You can have all the money in the world, but when you leave this earth, you ain't taking a penny with you. You're not going to take nothing.
No.
But the point that I'm making is this. The black community has splintered itself because when you have other black people, and this has always been the problem with black folks, that's why they changed our name from Afro-American to blacks to Negroes. The same process they try to use. Yep. The same process they're using for the illegals, they've taken that play out of the black playbook to help them become legalized here. Everybody has done it. But this is a shame that our black children came together with the enemy that destroyed the black family, that decimated the black community, that forced homosexuality into our schools. They endorsed transgenderism. They helped it, whether you want to say did it or not. You did it because you helped Barack Obama open that door to destroy the black community. And they should be held accountable for that.
I think they are. I mean, I don't just the swing back over to the Supreme Court. What's going on in the Supreme Court right now? The Voting Rights Act. Well, that gerrymandering is about to be demolished, and right now it's leaning on Clarence Thomas, shoulders. So depending on how this vote or this verdict hit, that whole divine line of we gonna have our own black communities is never gonna happen again because we're only 13% of the population. So this gerrymandering and all the rest of this, that's gonna be eliminated. So all of the SWATs, the Cascade is going to own Atlanta. A lot of this stuff is not as blue as you think. The United States is not as blue as you think. It's only because they was demanding.
Look,
Big got the
Mr. Binky, he's got receipts, y'all. Right. You see all that?
And then you got to remember in the blue areas, you are demanded to vote Democrats. If not, you are a traitor and they will kick you out the culture. So when that trueness come in, you're going to see that blue go even smaller.
Yeah. Well, and that's why I say when you look at this attack, and that's what I call it, it was an attack to really wipe the black community out completely, as we know it. You wouldn't see, on a block, all black families the way it used to be when I grew up. You want to see black businesses. This was the final blow to the black community, is when our children sold us out and helped the Democrats to bring the illegals here, and they accepted it because if they didn't accept it, they should be on the front line fighting like hell to say, we don't want that in the black community. You want the money, but you ain't saying nothing about defending the black community. So I just feel they should be held accountable for that. And because it makes it tough. It makes it tough for us as a people to have our young people working against us when we shouldn't even be needing affirmative action and none of that stuff. We should already have equality. We've been in the country all these years and we still fighting for damn equality. We still fighting to be accepted in this society. Why is it only the black community that's still living like this, make up 90% of the prisons, racially profiled? Why is it only our community?
Because you have to have something to run on, okay? You do. You have to have something to run on. And what else are you going to do? Because everybody else, they're not going to bring people twerking in their face. and asking them to vote, right?
Yes.
But you'll do that to us. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And so we are the necessary evil. And it's sad. And I hate to say it like that, but that's how we're used in any political campaign or election season. Just watch it from afar. You're like, what?
And some of them have the audacity to actually say it out loud. Joe Biden, so many. I'm sitting here, where's Corn Pop so he can whoop his ass by now? All that stuff that guy was spitting out of his mouth. I'm sitting here like, is that Robert Byrd on his shoulder? Because he just tweeting his little butt off. You don't want black kids on the bus with the jungles and stuff. I need to go get a record player. So look, Ray Ray over there is sitting in the hoods. And then you got Mrs. the Justice of the Supreme Court, the woman that don't know what a woman is, and then call all black people retarded. I mean disabled, because we don't know how to vote. What type of tomfoolery is that?
I'm just
saying. The educated.
We're emotional support pets. Okay, it's bad.
Somebody's making a whole lot of money off of it.
Yes, there you go. That's what it is. And so for the love of money is the root of all evil, man. And that's why I say the black community is going to be tough for real black people who love being black, who love our country, who stand up for righteousness. It's going to be hard because we've been infiltrated with foolish thoughts that we need to be separated, that we can create a new black community and make it all good, and master gonna make us all right. But we see that's not happening.
Yeah, that's never gonna be a utopia. It's not gonna happen. This Wakanda is just a movie.
Exactly. It's saying that
Wakanda was alive and well, you would have to battle. They would have to battle China, India, Russia, and America. So that's just going to be another. It's not going to happen.
Here in America, it's being destroyed from the inside. That's the mission.
It's been designed all the way since he said he gonna have those niggers voting Democrat for the next 200. You make my ear itch. You make my ear itch. It's like we could go back in history and pinpoint this stuff. Stop making my ear itch faster.
But it's true, and that's because somebody's talking about with you right now. But like I said, guys, I just had to put that out there because when I said other shows, I talked about it. And somebody sent that to me, part of their organization, somebody in there at the top. So y'all been infiltrated. Y'all might say, well, that's an old letter, blah, blah, blah. But it's good evidence to show that you sold black people out for $10 billion. And a lot of y'all sitting around there with y'all pockets fat. The rest of those people in the organization still paying dues. It's how much money that you can make. And when are you finally going to give back? But you have no intentions on doing that.
No.
Dr. Last words, we're going to get out of here.
Okay, well, thank you everybody for joining us this evening on Let the Truth Be Told. And definitely check out the USA Redemption Party at usaredemptionparty.com. We are looking for servants of the people, not politicians. And we are also looking for members to join the party to support our candidates as they serve. Again, that's usaredemptionparty.com.
Mr. Binky, you're next.
Yeah, well, we hold these truths to be self-evident. All men are created equal and endowed by our Creator, not government.
Right.
Keep that in mind. And whenever you listen to a politician open their mouth up, listen to what they're saying. And if you're going to vote for somebody, make sure you use that as your reason to vote.
Yes.
Miss Lucretia, thanks for being here. I hope your audience enjoyed the show. Do some research, y'all, if you can. Your last words.
It's the Democrats' fault.
That's true. Well, y'all, we're going to get out of here. Thanks, and we'll be talking to you later. Y'all have a great evening. Talk to you soon. Folks, I want to thank you for tuning in. And like I said, this channel, you can go to watch us at letthetruthbetold.lightcast.com. That's our platform. I welcome people to go there and to watch the show there. You know, we're trying to move away from the Facebook and a lot of the social medias by having our own platform. There's a lot of information at our new platform station, and I urge people to go there. Let the truth be told. .lightcast.com. and watch the show and watch some of our previous shows. These are my last words. To the American people and patriots across this country, we can see all the things that has been done against the American people and patriots. We experienced January 6th, which was a lie. We experienced all sorts of movement to change the values in this country of marriage between a man and a woman. That was taken. We saw transgenderism step into girls' sports and dominate. And yet nobody said nothing but those who stood on righteousness. So as a man of God, working for God, I cannot sit back and watch to see all of these terrible things happening, because we are in Revelation times. But just like Jonah, when he went to preach to Nineveh, and the people tore their clothes off and bowed their heads and asked forgiveness for God, God forgave them. And that's what I'm telling the American people and patriots across this country. Matthew 6:33. First seek the kingdom and its righteousness, and all will be added to you. I'm telling my brothers and sisters of Christ, it is time for us to rise up and stand up for God. It's time for us to stand up what God created, marriage between a man and a woman. It's time for righteousness to prevail across this country. We don't want to hear nothing about the third world order, because God is in control. And if we, the people of the great republic of the United States of America, and to the Christians, men and women in God, and true pastors, it's time for us to stand up and put God first and make this country great again. God bless you. I look